Great. Welcome back, and this is Ghana Speaks, and I am Kwaku Annan. Coming up on Ghana Speaks, the new patriotic party went to the polls over the weekend to trim the number of candidates from 10 to 6. The top 6 are Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, secured 629, representing 71.64%. Honorable Kennedy Kwame Japan secured 132, representing 15.3%. Alan Kwajotramantin secured 95, representing 10.82%. Dr. Owusu Efriakoto secured 36, representing 4.19%. And of course, Francis Dainimo also secured 9, representing 1.3%. And Mr. Boachi Jakum secured 9, also representing 1.3% respectively. Folks, the new patriotic party, the governing party, no call akensie bi ta akensie no mudwuma so mukodia na say one mo ko select sa enipa edui 10 bone beka so mo treme anaso mo CV na yenya emu enum na enum no yekọ esan koto mo so aba nyame adom a November eno pepepe no mo koye wo mo koye no so yenna yenim obia so di onyae ena mayeden mabobo so di atreme. Now tonight on Ghana Speaks, we are here of course to do post-election analysis on the top 3 candidates. Plus Kennedy Kwame Akomprekwe Japan issued a fresh threat on the vice president and the president respectively. All these and more of course at your election network on Ghana Speaks. Stick and stay. I'll be right back.
This is Hawk TV.
Great, welcome back. Ebisia, me na treze. Sa enipa enumna womo eko elect womo. And Ghana Speaks on your election network. The Ebeya say, out of the 5, you imu 3, because that is where obviously is going to be the showdown, and that's the fact. 5 and now 6 no yankopon ya adoma. Sa 6 no this weekend ye na nim say one more asanyako emma ye koyi say ebe boachi jako na ebe adan nimu. But for me, that the whole election will not, as in November, will not dwell on whether or not boachi jako ana so say adan nimu. Enti sabri ye de enipa aheno atwe ho nemum. Ghana Speaks Election Network would focus on the 3 strong contenders. Ora, Vice President Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, and then we'll focus on Kennedy Kwame Akomprekwe Japan and Alan Kwajotramantin. One of person analysis we sharp one about how these 3 candidates would or perhaps would contend come November 4th, if there is even going to be the November 4th, another election because of what we are hearing. But first, let's start with President. The President Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, earlier before Congress, had retreated after a couple of allegations that he does not support one of the candidates for whatever. But in a sharp response, the president refuted allegations and urged all candidates to go out there and put up their best. May the president say sense on penini maye na eti asese on supporto candidates bia ansa na ye ba beto ade no or say on supporto candidates bia for reasons into our president Bekasa no was also at the back of allegations Ababa say on President Diwechi no so no main support will be as so president as I saw heading oba by force allegations way my president as so to me kabab on tebetrim say on support to be nti and the question of support to be on support to be no President Edenanu ye by take a listen to him.
The assertions, and it was made by your director, that by some in the party that government is somehow allegedly, quote, intimidating or, quote, coercing party faithful to throw their support behind one of the presidential aspirants. And we have to be open about it. The allegation is being made that the government is putting all its authority behind the vice president. I want to say in very clear terms to you and to the world, it is a false and malicious narrative. There's not a single truth to it.
Folks, see, this was before Congress President the Khan Assembly. However, early hours of Saturday, 26th of August, the President Kwaku Annan was seen at the party's HQ casting his vote for a candidate. This development have raised political concern over whether or not those allegations flying could be said to be true or call it a smear campaign against the president. Asemi omampeni kawiye afi Saturday obia te ho ye hwa de we an the president ni tuka ba party ni HQ ho omampeni ubeden omampeni baya oba be casting vote. How? So then people started asking questions. Omampeni obeto aba na ene 1 2 obeto ama hwan 3 de be nti obeto aba. Then ebi kase no, Mr. President, sa asem na wo kan na no send ye na wo beto aba bi dia. Then your casting your votes now defeats your earlier assertion. Folks, political observers bi ni ade ni omampeni no ehu hawa won be senya analysis we. Na no oba party HK ho no sen e no kan asem. Take a listen to the president. Abro oba ye obeto naba. This is the president.
I
cannot influence the process. It is for the delegates to decide.
How confident are you of the party breaking the 8?
Confident. We'll have a good record to defend, and we'll have some significant achievements which have addressed the concerns of the Ghanaian people. I'm very confident that we're going to the election in 2024 in a good state.
There are concerns that the campaign has led to a lot of vitriol and a lot of hostility. What's your concerns about such claims?
I believe at the end of the day, a competitive process, the party will coalesce around the new leader who will then be able to lead us in a unified manner to the election of 2024.
Mr. Please, are you telling the delegates to vote for some aspirants? These are all the claims. Can you reiterate that point? The last time you cleared that, you are not supporting.
But if I've cleared it, why are you bringing it up again? You're not convinced.
Some say they are not convinced by the message. They want you to walk the talk.
But at the same time, there's some calling for me to endorse their candidates. There's some who are calling for me to endorse their candidates. I haven't endorsed anybody. The election is not mine. If I had, I would decide it. I don't decide it. It's the delegates in our party that decide it.
Great. So, it was the position about President Epobi Ewa Kensiemu Ana Ompobi Ewa Kensiemu no. It was lied in between two flesh. Which one is the president going with? Mr. President, here I would also ask you these questions. Mr. President, who dear anything? Who dear ne womb anything? Ne crisis allegations you na ne ye kano Omanpenita Vice President Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia or Mohammed Baumia etino ne kwe anane entro Mr. President. I think President Akufo-Addo should have also displayed, a statesmanship just as that of former President Kufuor did. Stay away. But for President Akufo-Addo to have gone there at the party's HQ, then those allegations never flying in. It was at the very best of its truth. Well, President the president meanwhile, elections were conducted smoothly across the 17 regional capitals. However, unanticipated emotions were high, coupled with some violent scenes across some regional capitals, including Oti region. Now, Obianim say elections way though yenim say elections they are na mu nsem de basa me hu election bia wo wi ase a ya ewie smoothly abra obi na ho enti ana bibisa. But regardless of all the rushes in the NPP now, say Oti region so a recorded one bad incident. Oti region hono see be two obieni ato formo sedion mint mention. But here comes that Eye Ora Boabin Asamoah for Alan Kwadwo Tramantin lamented, saying Enokana 75. Take a listen to Boabin Asamoah. Ushe Boabin Asamoah also comes with the pictures. Pictures are and also say Sa Papi Kwanya Omodene fast as far as Oti region is concerned. Watch this.
As we speak, incidents in the northeast region have made us very, 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 very disturbed. Our agent in the northeast has been beaten. Why? He's in the hospital now. Why? Because he protested the showing of ballots, which is completely illegal according to the rules. Nobody is supposed to vote and show the ballots. They are voting and showing the ballots in the northeast. When our agent protested, he was beaten up. He's in the hospital now. We, the Alan Shemate campaign, is rejecting the entire result from the northeast. We are telling the party headquarters, we are telling the elections committee, we are telling the vice president's team, we are telling His Excellency the President to put his foot down. Anything to do with adding and including the northeast results in this election will mean that the results are a sham. And it will go on in other places from what we are hearing. They have beaten our agents. Our agents in the hospital. And they were showing the vote because they were voting for the vice president. They've been asked to show the vote. If they add the result, it's obviously a public sham. Including His Excellency the President to put his foot down. Because if we all make rules and we decide that the rules will not be enforced, the rules are for the benefit of the public and the candidates, and yet on the ground they will not be enforced, force is applied, impunity is applied, and nobody is able to do anything about it, then the result is a sham.
Well, some can say that, your request is a bit far-fetched. The matter could be easily resolved. Why?
In what way will the matter be resolved? If the ballots that were showed have gone into the box, how will the matter be resolved? The ballots that are being showed have been put in the box. How will the matter be resolved? The rules say that any ballot that is showed is invalid. That is what the rules say. Any ballot that is showed is invalid. So if you are voting systematically and showing it systematically, and the looking on, and an agent is assaulted for protesting, then it's grounds enough to reject the entire result.
Great folks, welcome. Tonight, we take you into yet another exclusive post-election analysis of the top 3 selected. And shall we? Aha, and I feel babeya analysis of Kwanya enipa 3 way. Eye eshase e free wine. Vice President Alhaji Baumia ene eye Ora Kennedy Kwame Akomprekwe Japan ene Ora Allen Kwadwo Tramantin. Analysis of sa enipa miense ye ba be ye ne ahwe se how all of it near den ekoye, and of course the impact these 3 candidates would make ewo November ye ba beto abane sene bekono. Stick and stay ba me call short break me ba. The 3 candidates of course we are going to take zero down on the 3 candidates, give you all the perspectives, analysis, impacts perhaps they would make on each other. Hopefully November 4th say enebeko. Would it be on the it will be on the path of Kennedy or Vice President Anna Allen Tremantin? And again, let's also try say some analysis as to what went in for all the 3 candidates on the 26th of September, how everything went. Stick and stay. Ghana Speaks, your election network. We'll be back shortly. I am Kwaku Annan.
This is Hawk TV.
Great, welcome back. This is Ghana Speaks in here. Tonight we are at the Election Network headquarters and we're giving you all the analysis. But mind you, we are outside giving you the backfield, sight and sounds and what you need to know as usual. And the election analysis and a post-election analysis in the area thing, the feel of it. Quite a number of people going back and forth, quite up and down. Some are also as it were, and so here many are the brace who sticks were there. Of course, now, so this is not their time to speak. The Hawk TV, analysis, Nina, what we saw, we heard, and we believe that our candidate. One more Idumano echo saying as far as Saturday concerned. But before Yebeba Ichino, you take something on each of them. First, let's throw more light into the Vice President's performance against the assertion by Mr. Boache Jakon, who earlier described the Vice President's candidature as establishment. Question remain, what could be, and then ask him no, what could be more to that assertion now, and secondly, there is this commentary suggesting that the Vice President is an imposition. Third, the Vice President's camp is made of political blocks, or if you like, splintered groups. And then the question remains, did we see all of the above play up in the elections, Nana? Now, Yebeka say, time or elections, and I Saturday, no. Ora Boacheja Kwaku also contested in the Bible and say, yes, Vice President and candidate and an establishment. What it means is a political system and an shenichi. And now say government nankasa tiny, even though he's a member of the executive, but he's trying to say is a government na machinery na tiny. Now, election there was also commentary because Vice President, acquired to say Yamano so any idea about share NPP as a party no one more say Monday Vice President Nana Yepediashop and no there was this issue about say Vice President companies made of groups and all of these things were at the neck of the Vice President. I don't know how you saw it. So tonight the head of political desk, Mr. Kofi Ejiri, will give us his perspectives about the issues kind of Vice President need. Yes, a big believe say, oh yeah, an imposition you didn't buy. A business say no Vice President, in a way, or establishment. Is this true? Big crowd believe say yes, there are blocks within the Vice President's camp. Nina, it's an issue on the neck of the Vice President. Analysis na some of these boss. Now, me person say Ejiri, my perspectives on the above things. Did he see these issues play in the elections? Mr. Enoch. Yes, me mwakwa ba won saying. I don't. Boko. So I who say a play up in the Vice President scoring 6-9. Did you see that? Did that play a role?
It was obvious.
Okay.
Because yourself, 2 weeks ago, you was Hawk TV, he said it.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I don't know. When it comes to the selection process, numbers, I had a problem. And secondly, with the blocks thing that you said, those who are that, because most of the appointees from the government side in our
okay.
It's that kind of thing. I would be able to for him. Those who are done also play out.
So I can agree with you to some extent. It's like a battle of survival within the executive.
I'm not
okay.
So I not yet too surprising because them selection process from what Hawk we did 2 weeks ago, not last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was the obvious thing that we discussed.
Yeah.
And it happened there. It was going to be. And even last week, we discussed about the blocks now. So when it comes to Vice President, being an established, candidate within the party, and also a fact, obviously the Vice President number 2. And new relationship with Nanado, very, very close. Compared to the late Ali Muhammad for another difference group. I can see the difference because at the time, Alan was perceived to be the choice of the president. Was perceived. But this very administration, Bamia is perceived to be the choice of the president. So being an established, how they call it, candidate or whatever terms that we use, such candidate, I will agree. There for him, he had all the powers, to support him.
Great. Let's also look at one or two about vice president. For some good reasons, we want to stay a while longer on the vice president's bid. And they're saying vice president, as per some intelligence we are picking, which Mr. G will make a sense out of this. And they say, after say Yatua Beno, we are hearing some intelligence within the NPP bloc say, if vice president Nina 629 representing 71.69, well, for the purpose of say yen say sika na yen moka yen tutua na monko him for hins ni hano enti yema vice president no onko on oppose ade we ebepie wo party ni mo I don't know how many days, weeks, months to come before November 4th is coming. 2, ebisu believe say the vice president won or got this mark. Reason is because vice president had done what you call had not contested elections before. You be here saying vice president in contested elections before. Now, the reason for this, ever since the vice president Eba NPP, he has not contested any keen elections. Vice president need to be winning that margin. And to elections we are very super. No, say to me we need 629. It tells you that the vice president has done a very good one. Now, the next one is say his performance come at the back of his exemplary order lines cannot pass unnoticed in or within the party. One more say the Emma vice president also aye dwumane so ni say oba party ni mu a waye nyema bebre people could easily taken note or have taken note of Sanyaman. No mu yi o many free so enye ye eno na Emma vice president no. And why nkofo akono ewo party mo enem ne ade. Then the last one, some also believe that the Saturday exercise was purely what you call sales and marketing. And not just say ye kodi dwa ena ye koton ade en ya san den edidwa ebusanfo nyam na me kan we yo nyam Kwaku ye do hot wo pa che ne say Saturday no wono mu kodi dwa ye koton ade en ye san toye. Meaning say vice president ni de wo mud ni koyo ekoton no e na o mo yeden o mo di dwa na o ma befie. I don't know how you make of it. Mr. Dre, what do you make of that the above issues playing up?
Now, let's take it one by one.
Great. The vice president unopposed thing in the air or it's coming.
If that, I mean, Mustafa made the interview now, yeah, something closer to that there, to the voice put it. Like candidates, no, you be no one supporting.
Oh, really? Okay.
I want my share that particular thing.
Okay. As Mustafa Hamed, National Petroleum Authority Chief Executive. All right. Take a listen to him.
In any event, I am sure that per the results that would occur, because I think that maybe 1, 2, 3 people may share all the votes. You get me? And in that sense, even the other 2 that will tag along find that it will not be necessary for them to go to November. So they may want to align with any of the 1, 2, or 3 candidates who will emerge tops in this particular short list.
What would that do to internal democracy?
Well, what it would do to internal democracy is that it will bring cohesion. It would show that we are united. You know, that we are focused. We know what we want. You know, I would prefer such a scenario even than for the votes to be split into bits and pieces amongst all the 10 people. I don't even mind if all the votes went to 1 or 2 people. I don't mind, because then it will show that we know what we want.
Sir, America.
Yes.
It's in the idea of Kano, and you ask them no.
Meaning that this is about to play up in the next days, weeks, months.
Why they like how they're pitching?
Yes. Yeah.
But why they in a way he was also giving a message. Internal presenters will be sent there. Would it not be there as if the democracy and
yeah.
So now, let's establish this whole fact that what happened last Saturday was not an election, it was selection. The unfortunate thing is some even of the media participants about to walk or 2 years, but one got to about okay, elect or select.
That's right.
what for those well import 1, 2, 3 up to 20 young select. It is a higher number. On Chelsea there, because man, say Vice President Kwanu, he should be concerned. With them 130 something na Kennedy. With 91 now, Alan would be because if one person far is believed because one, our Vice President, and you are seen to be the favorite of the government, and more to it, a lot of development of policies are Kwaku Kodo, is believed that most of them quite to your side now in a waba. It is all got to be them now with a selection now with you in Kwaku. Be bear now in the okay, them the account put those sling a bear 900 local another whatever another. Maybe Yano Crown would be because save you casa. Can you do to catch a binuno? If you come on, I put down to maybe like Alan. But in to move fully 130 something. There's a question mark there.
Good. There's a question mark there. Great. So I think that this is all about what we say with respect to vice president election. 629, he got remarkable. He did great. We also congratulate the vice president for that scoring, making say 71.69. I think significantly the vice president did remarkable. If this can be said to be that of a fierce contest ever in his life politically, not just say barring all haters of this and that we have been hearing. We don't want to join that noise galaxy about this because elections are more Ghana and skedi I are part of it. Now, let's come to the third person being who? Kennedy. Now, Kennedy Kwame Akomprekwe Japan placing second numerically is not surprised because he managed to touch base across the nook and cranny in all and across the 17 regional capitals. Again, he had a direct access with almost all delegates wherever he visited. Now, Wayne Ebeka said, this brings you up to speed to be able to do what? Assess whether or not the feelings, emotions of your delegates resonate with your direction. Now, Shadia, indeed, it is instructive to point out Kennedy Kwame Akomprekwe Japan had done a little above 50% of the work earlier before 26th of August already. Mohu said, yeah, Ken. Vice President Dedi Kain, Kennedy Kwame Akomprekwe and a Tosimieno. Now, the reason why Kennedy Betty taking up the second position any news in my movie, folks, and I will explain it to you. To say a dia analysis me catch them say Kennedy Kwame Akomprekwe Japan barring all HS, so to me we 5 numedia very likely he'll pull the magic. And the answer is saying Osha CSA only delegate or only party move when you need editing kutahono Iranum Ache is long overdue. He has met many of these delegates severally and overly and could understand the delegates, could understand these persons, vice versa, them also. And the Jumano met me say, why you move 50+%? Why you read it out? Answer. Ye babe call elections. You know, kwa all course our pro ne dear. Meet me a catch them one no cremuze. Sa pro bono and it nice what they air said you'll be out here in their various regional capitals. Folks. And he did extremely well. He did extremely well that Kennedy pulled that magic and made everybody say, how could this be? But whether you like it or you don't like it, or the issue is about that Kennedy performed great miracle he did. The issue to do with whether what threats will be is an issue will come on as far as our analysis we are concerned. But give it to Kennedy, say yes, he apparently took that full flight drive and made the shocking of even political pundits and watchers say they never expected Ken will score that mark. What do you make of Ken's impact?
Most of us didn't expect that.
Yeah.
But like you rightly said, when it comes to Kennedy, certain things are obvious that it was going to be because he is very, very close to the grassroots.
Yeah.
He has that relationship with them. And therefore, this kind of thing was, expected. It, I did you a while, and yet they are not on your home too much when it comes to I want to win the so close to the grassroots. And some American, the vice president should be worried with that number now. 100.
Yes.
So we come across more than 100. like men borrow the word of comfortably, and I'm kind of local. But yes, do that, I believe it.
You did a great work.
That was the whole thing, you know. For me, I was not all that surprised that Akaba because once he has that relationship with the grassroots, now with why we do that? Some can and yeah, it was something that those who are close to me were expecting it.
We're expecting a great analysis coming from Enoch Ejiri, head of Political Desk. Of course, this is Ghana Speaks, and we're here doing post-election analysis of the new Patriotic Party as far as your election network is concerned. And tonight, we're giving you all the back-to-back post-election issues pan on the 26th of August. How did it go for you? Now, we are coming on the third person being the last person here, analysis on him. Now is some political watchers, and of course we are on who? Alan Kwaku Annan. Some political watchers, or pundits if you like, have had the shock of their lives against the backdrop of Alan Kwaku Annan playing the third position in the contest. Some have raised the concerns that the dynamics have changed 15 years down the line. Analysts be so who say Ediebe Pantina Kwaku Annan ebenya third position. So we'll consider in their political stouts near there, all of them. Diebenti enna obabidi fencing third. But political analysts be so quick to put the analysis on it is no. 15 years ago, no, on a current president year contest, no, dynamics necessary. Dynamics ne best saying, well, it could be also say candidate no one more and as a delegate in a better man and then 15 years ne ebi ni ho. And now ebi also ente the policies and programs for which and all the Babe contest so they cannot really resonate with. You see, elections is about when people would have to go with you in a drive. Papa no na me fenti Ghana ye de no issues e may de pe obi asem no e various. Some make sense, some doesn't make sense. But we be say the third position what accounts for the third position? Is it because delegating or master so margin penasem this time? Now let's go a bit more into some of the issues raised. Again, Alan also lost heavily in Ashanti region. So Bibeka said, does this defeat the literature of ethnicity? And also say, you say abaye to Ghana de be to say oh we de DMO. We are Santini, we are Fantini, we are Chimintini, na Chim for better than Santi for better. It is here consider on the grounds of say Alan Sebe if we are Santimemo one side of him. Let's send our Santifono to Manapa, but he lost in Ashanti region. What do you make of this? This as that of say ethnicity play a role or it doesn't play a role, or is about the dynamics that has changed in this very contest of Alan playing the third position? Is there no? What do you make of this?
About election, it's about selection.
Good.
Now no, Alan, on your 90 something.
Yeah.
Now there are people who express concern. Some of us in here,
yeah.
And then like the selection and numbers not there. Now
95.
Like but are very good. Why? Because I want to walk to an American start. I want to walk to them. I better was select.
Yeah.
Now preferred candidate to be on argue. Into why the Ubia will run baby will run
yes, yes.
But some way somehow you was able to pull them 90 something.
95.
It tells you that still is left.
And representing 10.82%.
Yes. Because I know what to is number I think 900 and something. Let's say which mean 90 something. And them we are not expecting that Kalano like Ebiana. It be back actually they were not expecting to be a particular number. Because of the selection process now, but he was able to pull that 90 something.
Would you say, sir, Alan, there was okay? Look at it from this, and then give your judgment. Is it about that there was too much expecting on Alan's neck, or there was much hope that Alan should even beat vice president, and it went this way?
The idea in
okay, that's your concern and very instructive. Yes.
Most of the media houses monitor flag bearer.
Okay.
And that was not it. It was a selection process. The selection process was done by people who are very close to the presidency.
Would that also arguably come at the back of say it's still an election because people actually went to the polls?
Fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough. I agree. Fair enough. But the people who went there to elect or to select, let me borrow your word, elect these members to represent them in the upcoming elections of the NPP, they were people who were seen to be close to the power, who were close to the powers down. You understand that? That is the idea. So if somewhere to a year, what for about now for the year by 6 and I by 10, now we there. I mean, your favorite. We him there answer on your favorite. Beyond that, I mean, your favorite. Let to abano. Last time, meet me ya. Me find the new by 7 po. Let's say 3 atu. Would it yama? Naturally, anyone that do okay, I will favorite. I don't know beyond.
Great. Stay a while longer there. Make a sense out of the fact that this electoral college is made up of 900, a little more. Now, out of this, 214 or so are those that can be described as coming from the executive.
Yeah.
The rest do not. Yeah. Because we are talking about chairman, constituency chairmans, and both past and present. We are also talking about party hierarchies and all of who do not necessarily draw power from the executive. So you're talking about district and municipal chief executive making and other positions making about and all of that making about
ministers of state.
Yeah, making about 200 and something. Would that make any impact here?
It will 200 and something easy out of the 900.
Okay,
you understand?
Yeah,
it will make an impact. And yes, so even the number that's another number is not Abu Bono Crown. That would be your opinion, thinking that these people are not close to the corridors of power. But what if it happens that they are very close? How then do you also, look at that one?
Okay.
So whatever thing that happened in the moon, make it it's not an election to elect.
Yeah.
A flag, it's an election to select members.
Great.
So for that one, but I was expecting that with the whole plan of Alan, he would have probably done better than the numbers now, especially with the position that we had with Kennedy. That's what happened. Then still now could maintain that second term. Still no, but still on your.
Great. So take one step back and give us maybe the magic. What could have gone much into Alan losing first to second position, now playing third? In a certain perspective.
That's a very intelligent question. Sikasam play a major role.
Okay.
Well, I'm now and ask him CKJ.
And then maybe.
At the time 2007,
yes.
I call down flag bearership election to elect flag bearer. That time, now he was considered to be the favorite of the president.
Great.
Resources be many same.
Okay, agree.
But from them time now, be seen there. And by then, assessor. Them resources no onyeno.
Yeah.
Them time no.
Yeah.
And we need them resources not them.
Okay.
Or won't or try and finish your own.
Great. Make a sense out of this now.
Great one.
Yeah.
Again, election anka sambe. Zemo kujopoku kenu.
Okay.
Kujopoku you as far as I say, when konke chinchina, we na amanko tua. No, I don't. But muko na some spend. It's about to have okay. You are just a super delegate.
Yeah.
Okay. Mama me invest so much in him.
Yeah.
We be am fanto.
Yeah.
November 4.
Yeah.
I'm sure how nyama bed.
Ebeko.
For me, I think the finance play role. Again, the people around him, why they do more personal vendetta be against the power presently. Wait for me, no see another thing. It's the madini no play role because Kakama Asama now Elkana why they Kaka personal thing because of feelings here. Every not candidates now do more work on
Great. Now I'm taking him home. So Mr. Jib can be able to now accelerate more and make a sense out of this issue to do with money. Again, the Allans can have raised concerns about vote buying and inducement with money. Could the above be the possible factor that dwindle Allan's effort in the contest? Can we nail it right on the head that inducement of money was the common denominator in the voting process and what could be the answer of the above, and the answer is obvious. Obi bisa say Alan and Crawford no ensu bisa and omo kan ya argument they raise concerns we say election omo koe no sika pa epie mu no enye sika ketwa ye che sika ye yewe so wono mo pese omo kire mu say eno ena ebetimi ama Alan nso aba from na eno ne yensu ye de ye bisa yo ebisa won say ampa so say ebetimi anekura na, but I would say and say yes quickly because inducement of money and goodies and all of that, of course, ended up being the common denominator in the whole equation. In the sense that when we na candidates will be at Sika. Into Muche Sika no na no acquire say fence nananamo you know etini no just ebi di dibisu ebi na ebi che no dodo ebisu enya ne kasa. What do you make of that?
Okay, anybody to assume.
Yes.
Sikedi no.
Yes, that's right.
That are part of the system. Politicians
it has become part of our body politics, kind of.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's not an American.
Yeah.
2007, no, he was a favorite. So
that's right.
Established candidates at the time.
Yeah.
Of power. But yeah, what this present, you know, but we know about them facing it's the resources. Oh
yeah.
Now from that time based on a long period of time.
I agree.
But Baumia has been close to Nanado from 2008 up to this very time. It's Otia Lucity, Adibia movie, sponsorship, Bibia own resources in a day. And you have to go to enough.
Yeah.
And you have to go to enough. And Dam Sikasamano say Obusubo to my career, okay. Motum, Adia Kwaki, original, the favorite candidate. No, I saw the banana and Apollonium, the banana. Good say be an ample young labor who the Mama Shadam face and shame too much. Yeah. May earlier session the Miss Kaka come on, I'll me up but we will face November 4.
Okay. Sounds good there.
Yes. Because I didn't have why there Ghana Walk World Cup. World Cup no.
Yeah.
This film within first round, you know, him though on you. But contribute to the Germany World Cup. No, just in time or a problem. Because when him there, walk or catch it. At this saying, yes, I am. It's no why the Alan, I don't know any team there. Damn, I mean, margin.
Say, yeah, can now or the Korean November. Okay.
So, meeting 4 because mind you, the selection process, no, you only needed 5.
That's right.
It's now about 2 and 1 vote.
Yes.
And you
are
what is different?
You don't need much.
You don't need much.
Yes.
It's why would I have to spend so much money like that?
Makes sense.
The 1 vote. All that mean okay, first 3.
Yeah.
When you are top,
yeah.
Second one is 0. Now is 1.
Yes.
What is it again? It's not the margin is supposed to play. It's the main what band the moon down for late. Oh yeah, Papa Vice President. No, camp the man. Maybe they think they are seeing things and you will be but baby are going on November 4.
Baby are grown one on November 4. Now, let's make a last analysis on Alan, and then Mr. G would give us some degree of understanding, which is also very significant. Nevertheless, there was an earlier proposal by the 9 contestants to decentralize the voting exercise. However, the vice president's camp opposed to the proposal. Question remain: could that also have affected Alan's chances in this direction? It was a former Kaya. Ebra yeba betua bano. Enipa and sono out of the Idunu. The proposal be by no. Enipa kumana electoral college yeba betua ban. Let's convey all of them, transport them across all the regional capitals. Therefore, Mumrakra. Nine no omumbeshe edem. Ombeshe edemwa no mato. Wamutu ya no biakoni baby. Sa proposal by Vice President Camp no kwani edyan ntiese womu amfa womonsa anhye signature no womu amfa womonsa anhye ase, which of course also means that for reasons be no munim de oye omu ye osedion, but the business say that also could have impeded the chances of Alan. I don't know what you make of it. Kofi, draw a line.
Well, that point inside that another angle, which for me let's say that I will agree with whatever tenor I can. I may spend too much time on it because some of these things in here no boils down to one thing. Money. So
money is money.
And I wish you some to
yeah.
It can some.
Yeah, what can say we are so sick as was and now I'm just I deal with I am at the name.
I want to one guy. I mean, what's the Cassam Lusa? What's the my so that point, no,
yeah,
whether you're the better, Nanyami Admiral November 4.
That's right. Good one. Good.
Hey, very deep.
Yeah.
We say to Kenya maybe over there.
That's right.
It's no ever my accord.
Good one. It was for the last thing I ever share was size with. Then we'll sail straight into whether or not Kennedy Kwame Akompreko issued a fresh threat or attack on the executive and what it means by that attack. ASA said Mr. Ejiri Elkano issues there, but boss to say but of course tonight we are here doing our own freestyle, also coming to you at the outside location, giving you the feel, sight and sounds, and people going, cars moving, and all of that. A post-election analysis as far as your election network concerns. Stick and stay. I'll be right back in a jiffy. Then we wrap up on the.
This is Hawk TV.
Great, welcome back. This is Ghana Speaks, and this is post-election analysis of the New Patriotic Party. Barely that's a week in here, and one more pose. It was for the mama, all that went pan out this year and there, the fallout of candidate A, candidate B, Obia, any area. Now, the last angle, maybe Ebeto the delegate and the money factor. The delegates and the money factor. Iran. Asem way asema hunaminim da yebeka ni we saying na no so me no ya adwen say political observers, political writers, and extreme political people, including even stars like Michael Kwenumina, Trotro, and Kratao, any civil society group for now Trotro and Krata say Ghana, the Republic of Ghana, our body politics, engineer, the engineering of money into the politics, is getting out of hand. And if care is not taken our dear way, will send us into the abyss. Now, about may invite NDC and NPP on the round table, say, folks, you're just saying, delegate for our friend is here for. Each time biara na bribia yenkoto aba enyi nipa manenko parliament yenyi nipa assembly elections impo enumpo nipa pese wo mudi sika o wanza enti mo won say Adia way is beginning to defeat the purpose of consciousness, wisdom, intelligence, and ability to work. Ni na ye sika na anyansa forte wa wonu betimi ewo nyansa sebe akoye adwuma ma me no mi no Bibi akwa say my sika ansa until we sell in order to get what we don't deserve. Folks, I don't know. Nenu na de ebe saying Mr. Enoch Ejiri.
Sika some.
I know.
Then start the whole thing in fee 92.
Good.
Now, 92 process.
Yeah.
Now or the phone the Sika some bokoduka na okoda no moti. At the bar 96.
Yeah.
At the bar 2000. But idea ni aka bibi there. I will say Jen we mark for about. Oh, Monto Abamon mo na be fie yes. From maybe some not then. Oh, mutum kwa midnight to come to fire bonkomo. All of a sudden, in your power, the number sasa. Who be their last sasa? Me here on kwa me lebo was book appointment. Appointment important kwa dem say. The next day and then next week kwa yo. Not the market about 3, 4, 6 months. Hey, now you wanna midnight to call to me from now. The time in ya na yimpa no li dia wo no mu. Those today yimpa na nya obey. Na no so obey. But today yimpa de seni order sum. Muluwo e na botun su na no. I say,
Nano,
all one, no, said it.
oh,
I'm not. It's you for a ditch address and the impersonating. Now, I'll do no sooner be. So, damn not that. So, you can back at every day. A bit now, caught to a banner. The marketing is beautiful. I need to take my share before you go. Therefore,
folks, are you hearing him right?
That I will take everything.
Yeah.
That I believe will be of help to me. So that once you get to power and I call you, don't answer, I don't care.
But make a sense out of that. I pay you this money, then I come and then the rest, I use this political seat in order to also maximize what? Profit.
Yes.
Money. Aggrandizement.
That is why this
So
nation,
where do we draw this line
very good
and depart from this
now,
growing
this is
tradition?
why the nation is not moving forward.
I see.
Because here's the case. I mean, so Baby, we declare an asset. I could have put in this car. My brother, most of them about to start 4 years. Now, transition period, look at the things that I mean, go through. You are almost 6 months, almost 1 year. Transition, when you said, "I'm will papa."
Yeah,
it's about to be with that process. Ever project away the January and send on Kofa. I can do one sika. But 2 minutes. I didn't know sponsors. I didn't know. You start getting calls. Hey, this, that. It's about to don't go baby. Asana, academic member of my family, member of my region, member of the local, Asana Maba, Ghanaian, ordinary Ghanaian citizens. Not that time, 4 years, so once my little account, or one in a Sabio, or Ghana and American. So you can call a friend of name for constitution, change them on some cool, some year then. Urbano.
Great, folks. It's really getting serious. Yeah, it is getting.
As some dangerous because we'll be going to the coup matter, maybe next week or so, we'll be going to the coup matter. Why coups happen?
Yeah.
The Madina agent, you should be very careful because so you put in that black a difference, and we pray that the madman may be in Sigana. That word in common impediment because in my dog manner like you put one point and kick at the vessel. But here's the case, our Akasha. Akasha one snow. We pay masters in Yano say, satisfy by the time now. I will yesterday, but baby, money, you know. What time into my years, you know, today, Monko, me a friend of now might be a prolonged mistake in power. And most of the coups that have happened in Africa is as a result of that.
It's as a result of that.
One history.
Great. It's as a result of that. Yes. So, folks, not just say from his narrative, money deals, a very passionate anger.
We shouldn't.
A very passionate issue.
I'm coming to you, telling you that when you vote for me, this is what I'm going to do. Once you vote for me, I have to go by my word.
Yeah.
Why don't you have to pay you, or why don't you have to demand money from me? Every money or whatever penny that I give to you should be because you merit it.
Yeah. And the people must enjoy that of the responsibility for which you've been entrusted that power.
It's not funny.
Yes. And even
why would I go to a hospital and then someone will ask me, which party do you belong to?
Exactly.
I'll give you an example. Tell me why a Malam Junction. The man have said it over and over again when I was on radio many times. The Malam Junction regional. In BBA na ya puna juma in power Kali, ya Kukali ma you do or ya Malam Junction. Now I was at that time no sepedeko ya wakaswa and then watama. Mr. Kaswa another woman for la brand camp, another baby, another would Malam one up there could you say cementum.
Yes.
Because you are not a traffic.
There's a whole crash there.
You know, around 7 p.m. If I put juma, or for no other for which your baby. You do Malam Junction one. No, what block, but there was a space there we could use. It's your driver and then I'm no. Now, to be such a catch up, I didn't know my and Kwana then. No, be such a guy, oh, I'm calling him Kakana so that I can use this very, space and then go. Do you know the question the guy asked you? Do you know the question he asked you?
Give us that question.
Are you an NPP or an NDC?
Oh boy.
We are sorry. Now, it's not funny. What the guy just did, it's not funny.
It's not funny. It is.
Even though man come about party, party no so hey no person.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that. It is import today. A medical officer will take oath. Let's my office. More from. I feel now. I show you about the baby. Doctor call Baba show not show body lady John. I say NPP and NDC that be our mobile injection. Let's be careful.
Let's be careful. So, folks. Inducements of money in our body politics is getting out of hand. Now I know, sir, quite a number of people in the political class. Yet Uye Ghana ni u complaini ene Ghana nye yo he abaya anaze ya elections a monko elect obi kra yo enumpo ne hwesika akom. There are rumors of say ye might be 50,000 Ghana cedi. There is rumors say ebinimu je pick up Ghana for enya good years ao ye kano enye cheap. It's not joke and a funny na mo hwe bibi just NPP dey yawo. Rumors of say pickups were given. Rumors of say 50,000 were given. Rumors of say 200,000 Ghana cedis were given to people. How? It's a bedroom baby. Mienu. Ubeka say oh enokejiri papa yo kama pa o. It's obejina sa constituency way abebwa. Wini my dear. For all you know, he will simply just have to go and consult some cocaine dealer, a drug dealer, no best sponsor no. Emanaba be just our consistency, but what it means is that some drug addict or will stake in our political decision making. What do you think of it? And this is exactly what is going on in Ecuador. Before Ecuador for Tuabano, a renowned journalist who was contesting the elections was shot and killed. Why? Because of the hardest critic against the system, the establishment. Exactly.
Now, Pablo Escobar.
Yes. So there are lots.
So much. Obia or yet drug lord to control who's supposed to become this person. Now, actually, even watching the crime, I know ultimately the one from this very prison.
Yeah.
Took the Americans to take Pablo Escobar out.
Good. So folks, sasika some skedie, ya meska ni skedie, medie ni sani amanyamana. As I say, ya sheni ya tete so. Na mujai sikana mo pompe diako political system ni mun. Na Ghana for no so ayeti ono. Ghana for ye na mimi ka hu biya delegate for. Ye Kwaku yi nipa. Enya fi na ye koye ne say ene ye koko fu aso. Munyai ye so petty. Ye san ye nim guasefo ema ya ye kuro ni ye man. Na aye ye folks delegate for ni sikasem oho. Up next is about why Kennedy Kwame Akumprekwe Japan threatening the president and the vice president respectively. Now, saying moreover, in the early hours of Saturday, the candidate Kennedy Kwame Akumprekwe Japan was seen in a video circulating in a high emotional charge, throwing tantrums and accusing the vice president and the president respectively of being behind a conspiracy ploy to chase his polling agents into a hotel room. Tonight, we do analysis and lay emphasis on this action plan of Kennedy Japan. But until that, folks, take a listen to Kennedy Japan and exactly asemwa okaye ehina no wujina na na osedien and I hear. Take a listen to him.
In this country, President Akufu, member will show down. Vice President, member will show down. In this country, President Akufu, member will show down. Vice President, member will show down.
God, to say, Anna Ora Kwame Japan can simplify, and then the Bemau analysis on this, and then Mr. comes in. First of all, let me begin by saying there is difference between presidential material, presidential hopeful, and I want to be president. Iran, I have a very sensitive issue. Now, answer na me analysis na to no. Kennedy Japan, the fans, the followers, the den, mobediatum, munyintum, ebi asem no dano ana Kwaku me de beto. Ebi o mi siswa nadwi ema mwanya mo ho nti asese. Se wo ye ne fan o, se wo ye ne supporter o, se wo ye den o. The foundation on which Kennedy Japan gina so ne Kwaku, I am one core and integral part of that foundation. Ebedru bebi edru nen. So, si ekuku mani dru bebi ebedru a me enumnyam hye no ehye no a oh na ese hu se maye bio ana but the eko bone no se bio me koye okonfo a me ye okonfo pa na metra se ma okonfo bone aba ne we be betufo a Eranum ebebo but na mitimu bi ana. Even though today, put it in quotation, say Kwaku Annan is an outsider looking in. But Metro Manabo, Emana say yana. I don't know where Obetis asked me say. But once a Makabi Biachre Mose, yes, say, Obi presidential material, naturally say, Minye Ojnehe, yes, a presidential material, Mr. G, yes. That means a trese. You bet me the net the president manaye ye. Now so one kasa nye na say obi di president. From to munti asem ni ye. No one kasa nye na say oba be di president. Ebium ye say we or your presidential hopeful. Let us say Mr. G Sesiano another person of Mr. G now or say hey presidency minye bia temedio minya o hope say onya ono so burden obedi. The third person of Mr. G, say, the person be the president. In some means, way, 3 way, and me big to their analysis way. To see how they or say, or say the person be a president. Now, the above prepositions can be managed, or if you like, succeed on what you call temperament to begin with. In every leadership position is extremely instructive and you cannot undermine these elements. Also against the back of say Nipano must begin to observe the Brunibeka say temperament. May presidential material. Don't say your Kasebi account Yakai Muse. You say Baubre ye. Na to wano nareka na ye wo nioma bi ye a san sell we ye de ben ya we ye this year da chen ubetinye di ohine manaye na wawofo na mpenifo no mu tufo enye bibi nti no mo kasa abakwasem bi ntia ye de sad ne tu trim amase school na woko adwuma na woko na waba obre ye broni so be ka che say sad adwuma presidency no enye lifestyle o enye me sheme bedroom o ena enye me ye me business bi o no presidency ye dwuma kase mu omani na wo na wo ye soafo folks ti asem na make kire mu ni ye enti so wura Kennedy Japan no ebeti ade bi ase a it would have been long ago before some of us ever equation me say Kennedy should by now have guided what he call the temperament ni eden musu oban ene wo ne ye asamasa o kasemu obi biara wo ye ni nara e fall under temperament. Now I would go at the handlers of Kennedy Kwame Japan who should have taken cognizance of the above, including any unpleasant emotional outburst, physical confrontation, insult and denigrating as politically incorrect on the very spur of the moment at crossroads. Ne handless no the ya amafo obi eken mean to be for blaming Kwame Japan, and I can explain that quickly. And it's saying this is the personified Kennedy Japan and the way he does his things. At the time no because our elections the handlessness should be able to gauge say baby say betimiesi into DNS say yeah. No woman tia say way politically incorrect. So we say ya emwa Kwame stay put this that. But then no mo ye. E dey nyoma no mo dey toto opono so e dey ma no. The handlers of Kennedy Kwame Akompre Japan should have forecast this situation, that it was pretty imminent because the stakes were what? High. But guess what they did? They negligently neglected these possible factors, folks. Said Amaka German. No more Kwaku na so mu say. Akakabensen bisa, ebufo show bisa, ebetimi epie. Ne pia or the assembly beba bontia, ebesia babe kweti on one chances. Enti ne chairman o ne campaign manager so then next one mu simko behind him and sort this out. What did they do? One more yes, Anna. No. The dominion money to 2 and son message. Now the question remains: where do we draw the line in all of the above? But I'll tell you that the fundamental point must be made now. And that point is what? A different point. The fundamental point, must be made and made clear. And now, the third preposition now, me catch them earlier no, and a answer no. Quote, I want to be president. Have you met here? Yes. Assembly nani. And it is not about say Kennedy Japan is a presidential hopeful. It is not about say Kennedy Japan a presidential material. No. Or no, he comes at the back of what? The third preposition says, I want to be president. Now, folks, and the reasons are pretty obvious. On one hand, the NPP as a party or as a governing party, depend on which side of the flip you are, have vested political confidence in the personified Kennedy Kwame Akompre Japan, including used him ostensibly to have what? Done a lot of what? Good and bad. Call them evil. Call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the NPP, stalwart, are aware of this called open secret. I'm not doing this at the back of hatred or anything. I will tell you guys the straight up truth. Assembly now soon say. So the third preposition means quote, I want to be president. Actually say Kennedy Japan person catch MPP for say. A big way man you sumi di mia yenkusi dwuma. Minimu na so akoye nkusi dwuma. Ya ye nieme bebre ebi ye papa, ebi ye bone. Ye na ne anim na me na me lead charge no. Enti si aye sa niemu we na enne I also feel that I have to take this position. Now, Becca said, you disagree with him. Be into the MPP been for Becca, sir. Be into me be my new match and you may be a no person of Bediatum. Acquire no ho, Kukuma Sam, woman who said on Becca. It's as though they've created a Frankenstein monster today about to eat them up. Hupao. As some no kind of sano, and then that one person Becca can ye at them. He knows, we all know. Seniya nyese ne nyoma ye pe no nanso asam ne ye ka abusiafo bebre ye mpese nipa ne ye ready so obesesa but jawudi ne ye bibi so a ebe yi pa. So the question is, it's not about whether or not does he deserve or presidential hopeful or any of the above. No. It is as his constitutional right, so long as he has maintained the forefront and helped to secure political power, he shall surely take a pound of his flesh. He shall take a pound of his flesh. Kennedy Kwame Japan person catch MPP for say, se metimia boamo ma power yaje, hook or crook, good or bad, whichever. Every way, as I said, me taking a pound of flesh. Would you say he's wrong? No, he's not wrong. So we are said to you. Oh, say, Abrofone be 5 before Ekoye Yankwaye Niama Bebre no. Edru baby na Abrofone so omoko. Edru baby na ebibufu we say no, and ebetumi atiatia ewo so for some reasons. A mixture chemistry no within the corridors of the political campaign of Kennedy Japan. Chemistry here too good in. Too pretty fluid oh. Ebusiafo me say pretty fluid. Now again. The other side of this political gymnastics is whether or not these as I know just who said about these you kind of saying kind of saying this political rendezvous, this gymnastics that come at the back of this rendezvous would inure to the benefits of Kennedy Japan if he will become president today or tomorrow. Yami bisamno no weni na yehu no afiyanse misa se anso owura Kwame Japan so be president na sa esunu e ban ne kakabensam bi ni nyoma sa na ebebo na memu ana. That's the question. You being his fan as a we are no na event ofi ejiri bebe ma be cancel because over the weekend no me share didi or say but this is a president Jack so mo take cabinet no so hwe na ni bi nkone etuo da ne obetwit sisi awo aboni pekuno We laugh over it, but analysis. But folks, it's not a funny thing. The temperament of him, you know where to draw. Say way you can say way and can say, and how do we decipher? And your joke is and so we say, and ne anochina. So be the president and mood ye win about one wakonia sabenzo. As nipa be crado near casemonim in the crater and say, Kwame, Janem wow. Always empty for a castle, so who are deep here then? You could out. Now we a Bama piece where see a raw cover for a bit. Where would Kennedy Japan stand? In the very interest of himself and the political party no woman and the president of the republic where could sebi you. Main President Akufo-Addo assembly advice me. I will take the president and go at the president and slash his throat or do anything. That is where nobody will try to do that. So it begs the question, why Kennedy Japan will do this? Maybe no answer, no. There are a lot of deep secret and top secret Kennedy Kwame Akumpekwe Japan, together with the party stalwarts, have all involved themselves, including the passage of the E-levy. Okay, including the passage of the E-levy. The question remains, can he even mention or talk about one? The answer is no. The American man say, oh, Kennedy. Only NPP Nankasa as a party, as a government. And someone in Bonia, one we not party with DA. Notably, always a baby made the questions Makumaku do ever towards the Oyano. Now, so one more. This I was a money I know to me Babon Tibiano when you back crab. Bakuku no Yano. But you know what? And no man on the party no penny for. Vice President Nankasa Kaho, President Akufo-Addo Nankasa Kaho, and someone in Bonia Wonumina Edieno. Wonumin say Ekobanesa, they will go into the ditch. Now, share E-levy, Masaiti 1 pet. Men go to 1, we see E-levy. Now, guess what? He even mentioned E-levy for DBM. Now, Obeka say, because the very moment he will talk and take a delight and drive on that path, take delight and drive on that path would mark the beginning of his political assassination together with them. Now, I want you to take a lesson to something. Why? Just before Yebabetu Abano, why Kennedy Japan went out there and questioned why the E-levy was passed. On one station, so Oman FM. I want you to take a lesson to why he questioned the leadership of the party, why and how E-levy got passed. Murefi, Nanya, Yawadan, Saturday. Kennedy Japan was on Oman FM questioning the leadership of NPP or say, Munim Kwaya fast why you pass E-levy nana, Madame, Sano Okaye. For the purposes of clarity, I want you to listen to it. This is what Kennedy Japan said to NPP. Prior to see Eden, Omobeko super delegate. Take a listen to him.
Kofobi omunam say mama contract. Me ma womu last warning. Omuya obia me contract want to me anye. Ye di ma me ye ma no bia me bondi. Because manya butra check. Menya butra check. There's a binum so jeje adwuma omo anti anye. Enani ne obi di ndia bakura me se menye. Because ye wia because chasing music because I can Japan and Yaman contract. It mean Yaman. What do you say? And I've done a lot for this party. And you mean Debbie, you don't have to. And you mean you are saying E-levy. Please. Women you acquire your faso a passy E-levy our parliament. I dare them.
Smart can update.
Omunya send your man.
Omunya they said yeah.
Omunya send your man.
Any money echo.
But me show omudi. Yes, a Juma or Man FM. Mudi Ayama NPP party.
Hey.
Inti Canada Japan. Maybe any. I FM. Yet the People's Forum. Ya Shanti region across Suko Ebuno.
What? Now, this begs the question: can he go on to tell the full story about e-levy and the rest? The answer is big no. A story for another day. Now, also, he has grown to become, call it, a Frankenstein monster for the purposes of the fact that NPP for no him. Bonini someone na orchestrating. He can only give them what you call headlines of those crime. Or more headlines ni we are. Afina party in Pennsylvania was so it means that hey, Jack, I can't overcast on Omeka. No party in Pennsylvania was also. Then they have to go quiet. Going quietly means that he gains the upper hand and so maybe some say among all the people in the party, why Kennedy Japan alone would and at all times issue threats or tantrums? This I want to ask them now. Eda obey full disclosure. And we are no one tell me Eda obey Babon Tiabe full disclosure about how e-levy ye passing or parliament Ghana Fontie on some e-levy no. Edimo musume makuma be nine na Ghana for sebi kodo rather sem de yo ayin NPP ni be pass e-levy pass e-levy no Ghana e benye sika na e ekwaye den se so mo bisa mo say e-levy ono finance minister how much and e-levy na accrue mo come me ntie how much ni yenye e-levy coffers ye dede ye come on tia someone say dede sa and eventually I'm the 11 bus 1.5 ni yemi say sika sen and aba Ghana futuo no and ye ka say yasen akobo bosia $62 million yasen akodi another $1 million from even Brazil ye dey kwa ye see bibi de plant for food and jobs there sebi in some basa meanwhile planting for food and jobs na sifo na as far as Alan Kodecha Mante concern we hu no ho ano. Now, quickly, Mami come pass and say Alan Kwaku Annan. We know say part of it why Alan came this, was a deliberate, if you like, concerted effort. A been here to fight Alan Kwaku Annan, including say on one ministry now, no one. They sidelined the ministry. It got to a point. Alan Kwaku Annan go to cabinet. Cabinet, he doesn't participate in anything. Do you know, say there is an agency called GIPC. What is the meaning of that? Ghana Investment Promotion. And I'm referee. Woman are responsible for all investments. Say about me. When a dano, your free grant is a member of the political establishment. So arrogant, despicable enough. Only your free grant in making sure say GIPC has been exempted from the Ministry of Trade. About an Alan Chamantaka investment. Now your free grant report directly to Office of the President. Ghana mo pesa mo de kwaseng. When Nala happened against Alan Tremantin, obi anka ho asem include on one kasa. Wo free grant o okwa abrotre in 1 month no otumi ko eba se ya shisika anyhow bi ope. And President Akufo-Addo could allow your free grant to do all the things he's doing ever since you created ministry say when a better send investments ministry or agency ebetime free Ministry of Trade as here. Your free grant. And a table. It's Kennedy Japan as an American. Me say, Eda, me the only one. Me fa. Also, me the questions be very tall. But let me stay a while longer on the one. E-levy. Eda obey full, obey clear. So obey the e-levy wasem. Koye faswa. The NPP in Parliament, led by Chairman Sabonsu, any penny for account, anywhere, more affiliate backing. Huh? Any other penny for. We know all the players. There Kennedy Ben address or baby bomu din. 2. Now what check quiet fast so e-level pass and sit down assembly Ghana. Kennedy Japan knows what I know. Mama me and cancer. But you see, where it doesn't make sense to me is that Kennedy will come and give them the headlines, or more headlines are not Wakako them quietly. Until how long will Kennedy and Japan will be using all the dirty things they've done in their quietness at the baby headlines at their threats on? And then I may catch them and say it's amount to that of blackmailing. E-levy, Ghana for more person mote. Quiet fast MPP, or more pass E-levy. We want to do be suit yase. When we say you don't know anything, what the answer mote that Sabrina Muyede, Kona Kobe Sakade Japan say, Kwame Japan, quiet fast or more pass 11, Branabeka, na Ghana Funti. But would he be able to say it? It also defeats the purpose of under which he stands accused himself no or corrupt and not yet corrupt and not be president or be corrupt and not yet corrupt. Where does he lie? Where does the equation lie? Why can't he tell the truth, the full story of how E-Levy got passed? Because dirty. Now one day the fini na be daddy jama Ghana for me. Now, who may be say? Let me place on record that even opposition candidates as wild as former and late flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings will not even try this on the spur of the moment. He will rather resort to available means which is preferable to him to use to defeat his opponents, and then before he will come out and throw the tantrums. So I don't know Kennedy Koyen. They say opposition leader be anywhere. Ojina Kunu at that time. No bear na say, hey, abato ne kwaso yentumye no we jai we free abato na say no we be job on thing ye telephone call say me ye mu say me case me really even former President Rawlings say nim say no to trafo na oya kaka. Oh yes, me who be that? What politically ye be catch on say look jina ho na hwe kwa ya be faswa obema woso abana yet no so also be use preferable means be the Roma every opinion brio na wo de we jai and we be jina abonten and na wafa phone and na wo kasa gu wiem and na wo threaten o president say mema show down may you say show down hey namnia kakabensem why na ka se ye ne sa eruanom kwame who say many of your followers painted us evil to you. Many of your followers demonized us. Many of your followers made us inferior before your eyes. And I'm painting a year say, ye nipa ye babe say. But who say, ever since how we did and cooked everything, bringing it out. Near better no man, you may be a timia ko ye mantin, yam kesene, etimi abba so flourishing. And then all of this concerted effort we are beginning to, taking a nosedive. Okoya now by. I may end by saying, sir, I don't hate you. I don't. And I will end by saying, money cannot buy their dignity. Dignity is what? Preserved. Folks, dignity is preserved, though. And that is how SSC heading. Now, me can where we are. And you mean Kwana make us sell. And you pay bisu heading. Kasa at the back of all of this. But answer me video the amount. Mamema Kofi Ejiri Emrem non-funny bites on this Kennedy, the Japan's supposed or whatever threatening the president and the vice president. Because me who be that? But baby, I have given you my fair analysis of the situation. Ejiri, what do you make of this?
In the first place, NPP, NDC.
Excellent.
Vice President, NPP, NDC, Ghana man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you to pick a phone and do something like that, for me, are very, very unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened. Because Edama, young papa no, Edneni, a day true phone. Edamano, a day true phone. Moya entertain Edneni, a day true phone. I say Diara. The Mambre in a day, Ghana.
A
mambre in a day, Ghana. Obia wa ho kwan do tun che na adwen otu ke bibi se bibi nkodo a yepo bu botu efu ba wo bufu a won sam a beka won de ye be ye no osire hweniye because an hwenye ya ebufu no mu no na ka ye ndiye bi a on so dey it o one day make the young papa no o one was unfortunate so that come ade no okay not also we dey no blame ni bi me da mane handlers enim there himpa na ogira won any emotions in this sort. It's no, that very day, no course, if you are on sort of banning phone to cry direct. You may be on Polo Koda, on Saturday, or they come and they do not call before I realize no, Nas, problem was so baby. It's the way you there, handler. The man can say, Mijano, in woman left, in woman right, in your day, in Tawabano. I will go to a correct when you may be home. Yes, it is a call be bar. And you so phone you na that brand. What do you expect? Na ijo ija na the matches so aka ho and the petrol aka ho abasa no we see abasa already know when your idea be there hey let's walk wide up the way you miss in 10 and bibi them ne emotions so miss anyama ke When you have called on the street, then the phone,
again, make a sense out of say, or see a chase, the agent, you chasing them, them.
A dem,
That's what you make of it. Okay.
Ninyano, an American that was handless. No,
yeah,
we make sure that Obia opprobe do man the presidential candidate no is one. Manage. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want information, you don't pass it to your candidate. I be say no. I don't want to on your stable. Before in the we found it. We found it. I never more bemino. Naturally, access situation, environment in the and send them information. Handle will be at the man. That is how we say careful.
Yeah.
Now, Agent here was chasing what a dying moon.
Hotel them.
They one. I was it. I no colo. You found the oil no quad. I'm naming you. I was naming you. In a say, Dame, names the Sir, I know no qual. You find the oil no quala. Is that the approacher? What's the user now? That's massive.
Yeah.
I want so no quala. No, sir, or friend and executives now.
Yeah.
So we're organizing. Also, see blame one on so I will need me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't say more fair. Na say more fair. Also, we chase to be more case day. Say more work you say be akoko.
That's right. Yeah.
Also, bend them.
That's what. So to really move is a quiet.
But also bend them.
That's right.
It's more all can. So at that point, it's not. I didn't blame. You try. Baby. As much as I am papa, more can one king. Unless I want to film it. And I say, I know court them work and we chase you be more. He said, anymore.
Hotel dining.
Naturally, them. A offended. You can also make sure that a dancing bialim women also why need man. Now, I am going to talk at the massing. Kennedy, the ministry pay the president.
This is the Ghanaian.
Yes. Young Papa and Aldo. Come proper. Yeah, but
so say I want the president like I say, yeah, example.
Yeah, but it's a bent one on there, you see, yeah, because they can't bet it's a bent one.
And I'll be on talking to you. And son of President Kufuor. Yes,
sure.
Yeah, that was a time. No, what Obian himself, President Kufuor. This was when he was telling the NDC for now about I forgotten. I know, but it was a statement. I say, "Bema talking, I say, Bema who are Bema who are okay, yes.
It's young fire, Papa and Ado. Young finding example. The pay no Janawa. Yes, no, down hollow. My, yeah, I said, you ain't the baby, young come for fire cover. Eja, now, why dead the more way movie?
Yeah,
good. I abandoned the Chabel man Penia. Why
this was the early part, no, Ben.
Also, one time, why I made them to be been a wire then? Why I just read us in a day. For 2 and 2. The way who Kennedy in there,
who can say your analysis be?
Oh, I want to walk on.
Hooper, break it up.
President, you made you a while. Power snap. What I was on? You want to yo. That's another, that you knew way back.
Exactly. I love that. I love that.
The meeting I do of an assassination said you to
me be
because everyone back name with secrets of one day only secret, sir. Hey,
top secret.
Yeah. The way I behave at the phone because you're big often the oath of secrecy.
I love that.
It's the about Kennedy, never do I give it few of her, make catch your vice president on Yahweh. Yahweh with the exception of the commander in chief. And every president, everybody, they are them secrets. No, would be any because I'm going to plans by a president, and also a plans by a president. You over your president, the son go. So, but Obia, what plans by a president? That's secrets. No, or man, they won't tell the auto. So we want, the money now was ready for the sake of the country,
national
the nation,
security,
the citizens, national security, and our well-being. You have to keep quiet.
This is deep, eh?
The way
expand it.
Able there will be fire. So young papa rolling stand on in the morning. No limits. You may be a bear watching the cook. My president. Somebody overcome say, young man, and you will not there. You will not even try. Because if you try, they will take you down. That is the way the power.
Say that again. If you
try. I mean, for all the American history, when F. Kennedy na one down for Fladi, what tried and coordinate maybe certain things be Wamakwan. And I don't know. The presidency is not one person, it's an institution. The presidency of one person.
Yeah.
It's an institution, and that institution will be protected at all costs, no matter what. And we're going to be a question. So if Sammy Mindamabe president the way at first moved to Mensa, Menanto, make a mensum, Miniano, or better. Security be what the church, or catch they are to my curse out to this limit. Aha, man could be young.
So it is not possible that today the folks, lovers, followers of Kennedy Japan, Nimsa or a firebrand, or they need Baby Wimu and say Anne Beko, and then they'll be disappointed.
Trump, you know, we are Trump. You want to say you said you know that about it. About president, I think someone can. One can send the moon. I am possible. The man do what on he be also about today. Or he said you are if you go home. Any making.
Yeah.
Who's the jump if you go home? When you are making. And 2 months saw the work so hang. You couldn't if you know. A man baby in a maybe what? I thought you best you know, or better. You say, a Gina and the woman. It's that idea. Now, do you know me? I did Saddam idea anything I'm going to the idea and the
This is deep. Kofi expanded more. This is very deep. As I say, followers need to maybe as you.
The whole thing in the day. It take who oats navy.
A man, different. And your lifestyle, and your lifestyle.
Get your day. Massa, I didn't be there. The presidency is an institution.
Yeah.
The meeting is Sebio, Equa, Mambe, Equa, Hinchi. Nasa, Equa, Equa, Nanumia. A 1 and 9 hands, I don't know. Sana no hini niwa. Still na address her, Nana, Mama Watlasi, what Jima Bro, Nana didn't pay for one attacks for the answer. I've been in nature. On yet, you put this in no, see one or your hino. A guano, it's what they're going to do. What to, or hino. It's young papa, and I didn't and now put 2 free. Ni dinanka sanka samdo offend na okudio so dey
you are right.
Yeah, but ehun there among body adwentino offend 2 4
or say to 2 the second
2 no ana o ma yan papa no oye onye nkese.
This is deep
it know that a gonna see one onye yimpa ko dia oye institution. It that institution will be protected. That is why yan papa Mills office him now. In less than 24 hours, in less than some few hours, maybe Muhammad, blah. Basically, because on yet you
can't change the status quo.
And that institution, Adam Muhammad, so bad, basically, now I'm paying a probably also young. I didn't know notice. You were still what were her. Said you sometimes you will be. Hey, they don't even know. I showed the Palema almost wisdom. You have to go 2D because when it comes to intelligence, no, or limiter, people to Marco. But I don't make a day. Yes, you had it, Wagana. The kind of movie science, they make a master. Actually, movies be to the last resort, last shaper. You understand certain things, 24. You understand certain things, how the president.
Yeah, it's serious, folks.
You are this year.
It's serious, folks. Ghana form parties, we are always led by feelings and emotions.
Now, so you put down with your back but because once what community, oh, what's your Canada? Oh, what's what at night? Waka. When say you say one Bob Bedam, it's that presidency, no one, or institution, I am one person. It is that idea. Oh, like Kennedy, the most what you know, he's a fine man. I am president, Obejinia, Obiania Beji. No mum, need the men the day. There's a limiter, Obodu. No better no bend then it's a bay, and maybe the more host there, let my to me, let my mobile bay. Now put I know Baby one, or 4 or people because and then another what you know, at the years, that mean that I'm not detail. Like many maybe one camel limit. So that I'm a hammer when you go on a steward in the man of Paba.
The word is what? Steward. Akunyeni wura wo ho.
Na baba so man na ni. Embra owo man no na nyinya na mebobodi. It's the member queen you ba for them team. Military no ebosu da madi. The military come out one report. Eba man report. Eba man no be start one listen. It take you this period of time. I had in able to my call. You are the only person able to my call once in a month. This is the book. This. I feel on my pay my home with all the nation. Hey,
we are the state architecture. No,
I can't do with the Avashana. No why which what they are.
That's right.
What can I say? What they tell you? It's okay. Bibi
Pusuno. Folks, Bibi Pusuno. Bakovi, come to make of it, as the last time you were saying, this guy with the way of this vituperations and temperament, and you'll take up that crap. I made your phone doesn't matter.
You are there.
Yes.
As much as
a political analyst, where do you think people must draw this temperament and look at this from there? I need to reduce this or even stop it at all. Is it a difficult thing to get it done against the back of say, president?
Yes, very, very important, very key.
Yes,
you want to be the head of something. That very organization that you have decided to head has a responsibility. You want to also run a country. The country has a responsibility. You can't run a country with emotions at all times. Emotions are good, but you have to use it at the right time. Today, I'm Papa Rollins.
Countrymen and women, can we? Can we?
And to me, can't tell man. When you went to do a biani miasa, a start a kekadamukasana, was a bed.
But quick one, let's try to stay a while longer with Ken's temperament. Between now and when it becomes possible that Ken Bitini take the leadership of NPP, at what point or in between timelines that these temperaments can be suppressed or it can be done away with, and then he may even go as far as taking the leadership of this country? Can this be done?
It can be done. The handlers have that responsibility. They have to try their best possible to, see to it that they will hire the very best, because they have them, financial power. If you have to bring in someone from this place, that place, bring them together and let them take, the president or like Kennedy through that process. And, if you look at Kennedy's style before the whole elections and you compare it to now presently, it seemed to have a very different, way and approach. If not for whatever thing that happened last Saturday, I at least expected that kind of outburst, that kind of outcome, but it happened. So they need to have the very best of PLT, psychologists, and all those people around him at all times. And you need to make sure that you get the level of anger and Papano or know his boiling point. And never been what can then once start one test by the time you go you do a worker. And you know it's that as so they say a buffon yen tomb. Yamu phone do mon kofuma. And yen phone as a pay your pen candidate. Who phone a day abadi? Who phone a day abadi?
Yeah.
Who phone? We candidate here while any minute. You phone. Young baby, I'm headed on and ye get up.
Bonnie,
already for sale.
He deserves it.
Already for sale.
He's a fine guy.
Hey, yape.
The manager, I'll say you.
I haven't a hand.
No.
Yes. It gets to a point. Asana, I can do handle.
Yes. Managing situations.
You pay and send you now kokono odineni. Na kokono odineni. Nti dama dia new phone ni bibia no nyanji. Call ba oye you handle it. By the time mobile them na chiro bia ni o wate no asem bia.
Yeah.
But anya ne dem na phone no bibia na akaka chen. Na handle ne then.
Great. Could we make a sense out? I don't want you to escape. You have to speak on this. And they say we should be your last say. And they say Kennedy time and often would give them headlines. Megu party no. Yeah, munim kwaya fast say, munim kwaya fire say. But he will not go further to tell the full story, except to give them headlines. That headlines, as you and I know, means that or they are not. Would you describe that as a clear blackmailing?
I believe it's a very, very, very.
For example, like yes.
Make us some. Will be better. What us? Okay. Young Kennedy. There was a movie that I watched. Banshee. That's the title.
Okay.
Now the guy wanted to run for office, and he realized that all the people that he had around him, didn't like him.
Okay.
So all that he had to do was to find certain pieces of info about each and every one of them. He got that, and he decided to pay them a visit.
Okay.
Then he comes to you, then he tells you that Kwaku Annan, you did this, you did that now. So you see the elections coming up, you know what to do. You move to this person, you move to this person, he moved to that person. And interestingly, he got perfect votes. Now, can the same thing happen in Ghana? I can't tell.
This is deep, is it not?
I can't tell.
It is.
Obayansofo
Ebunebe in Kanasem. Ebusafo.
Bibiano anu oh.
Yeah.
It is say you put the ma. Let's say you panu to me vote biano win bibia. Oyo ho an onyo. Because not my bend them when you may be a me catch on mu boy di Chelsea say na put check but enya kokun yimpa. But that moment in the fear of God that show. So in practice
and some Ghana how
the day in Palocono was never some more a lot of things happen in politics, but at least the bottom of will be there. Their miracle, Osi, your history, not tradition. Then I'm 3, they go happen in politics. This election, Yakwa. Now, I don't be a miracle in a day. A Kwaku Annan then moving a miracle. Obey history, or bra, or about me over fact. So, about me, obey history, you be the first not now. We had the more opportunity. Now, no crown, no for the master into. There is this info, Uncle Fwaka, there, Sebio, or NPP party, or Mark Union, and I don't follow one off one time, one chance. It's one more powerful chance, more about chairman or my Yamaka. Vice President to swam and a chance, man, no swab a president, offender, flag bearer, that's a new arena. Sir, not to the down to bloom. You know that 2024, no, they will take you a bubble because we'll be going on a cadre, will be 8 years. I know you can aware shop. I say Ghana had it, you can do 8 years, every 8 years, every. But Saturday, you know, you can also cast some difference. November 4. Now me had able them tape no matters. You ever them tape no matters. Also I can't find but me can't find. Me can't find you. But me to me no come off and just any program here ben to say go for keep tadi one. Ni twin ya don when say ni twin ya de. Me no me to me fantini prim prom pa me keep go sleep but me cast and tell say yeah chale or 72 for them near the na tadi for say was na star. Folks are some na critical. By name any here what issues to do with Canada Japan and say Kwame Japan Jana so nyai. Folks, Kwame so a stick and a bite over Canada Japan vertebrations and saying Kwame so can I take a listen to Kwame.
It's here for the Ghana for the Dene Kwablen NPP Muka Kwablen Obiani. Mr. Mwasima Mibekan Semano Fumukra Mufanchemi. Na Bruni Bessie, you too much. And he say, Yura, Unabro Kennedy, a Japan. At the idea Kwa, and Mama party now co-position, and a 1 year, and Mama party now co-position, a dear Kwa, Shenra, Asamoah, Obekafa, the whole commander in chief of Ghana forces. President Adudan Kwaku. Hey, MMO showdown. We no vice, and may you say, a day. Akufo-Addo from Swani say, Sebi, why yako? Agent, so be no agent, Krenya problem. Akufo-Addo can say, Yanko Pamu agent, and no bin agent, a Konya problem. What beside the agent in Swaya? Now, Priado de Papetuo, next year, we're not 8 years. Young Fadon, walk away, said the president Kufo, why? Papa will be on the Susu like a Canadian. Are they?
na yɛn mpirima sa de ne si bio yɛawa yɛahwɛ waa yɛn nso show down no kwabena nyam yɛsu yɛ ma obi ada full soldiers so pɛ sɛ woka yɛkasa yɛne yɛyɛ die egu ɛdɛm ana NDC ba yɛgyina bia wɔ NDC ba wosu bɛgu patu bu NDC ba yɛgyina bia wɔ wa wo sabi yɛsesa contract akɛseɛ ma wo kasa ne nipa ma opo ne yɛasesa ma nti party sɛ contract ma na wonye na okoyi bi bua eno no wana ke ma na dwuma sa nti an kontimi ne bi ba yɛ na ya fa say no after that uti sa kasa e ma party nti party said mama okra no problem ba nya ho ba de na wo sese wo yɛ it becoming too much you will credit Japan as a kufa no support Baumia na support obi akra anka no fum so ne say na ye koyi satam na president Kufuor tamba Kufuor who you want me one declare you will credit akomple one declare amana nado na wo ye na me pray na Kufuor say satam na no ye member of parliament who declare ma then candidate Kufuor de dey na nya fum so Benedi obi declare ma Baumia dia eye tabu ade wonko aye bo Ghana ma papa wo betimi akua na fa kua nyina na fa Ghana ska nyina se no na ope NPP for papa we mum ye hwe niye ya anka ya adwena kire no papa we wo de ekodi ensem no kan no ana NDC di be your message because NDC e besi ye hu message bia joma mum ko yi no wo de aba Canada Japan mo ene man message sisi ade yewura Canada Japan ade enko a ne yewura kwa me usumu akotrata Ghana Maritime Authority ade mo anu mde bu anipa ade mo anu wo na yo campaign manager no ya afro no say obi kan sam kire okura unya butre na wunti asem anipa ne ka say yase me agent a on frem fan out no abekira na ye nkwala ya etia so party no yensa so hwesu etia nanka yenko yede anka de ne yentia Kufuor etia nanka enye kura na kosi yewe na wa sabi in party mu adada de nyina wona unya yes oja president Kufuor ja president Kufuor life man you look at Japan me kan tell afebe kukuye nyina so say wo de wo ye yi obi atimi ko yo untouchable afebe kuye afebe dondo afro tigale you look at Japan ya brano ade wo the party ni co position ni makoti na America NPP full soldiers muntie na muntie niye kare Japan wo be hu say enye party for na okuma ye ni o your selfish interest o champion o selfish interest and o champion and o di bia ni so say o kwama idea form for form for be na o kwama obi o kwama form for no wo kasa say ade papa ya bro papa credit yo in Japan ya bro wo de na Kufuor do ne je president je Kufuor ko na de na o support wi wani e ma Kufuor na wi wu na nya me ande na ye boni be na de obi ko supporto Baumia ye tabu ye halam papa ye bo wiase ma onko a e wiase ska no ko a wunya ukunku ye nyina na odi a o ma show down no obi awu a sika no na wasa de body pa be wiase wa ya bro full soldiers party for delegates mu hwe ni o maye mamma nya ma adun say yewura Canada Japan mu ye die no champion won one selfish interest o wie no akwa wo hey na Kufuor wa yesia me yesi na me de ekwa force win election me de ni na beto abonten sabi ye kokum nipa na ye de win ye moja kra ka gu ye di ka che adai o wi ana o di de ayi sa no no akwaji contract akase ni afro Canada enam se okuta kan multimedia wo net 2 wo HFM wo Oman wo TV stations wo radio stations we ye vocal benyaso akase nyenyaso kotena bi sa yenya yewo chance wo media ni yenya bi.
Great folks, now your last story na de ebeba finally broni bekase the president Adodan Kwaku Annan on Saturday told Ghanaians, quote, I admit things are difficult, but the party would elect a new leader to get us out. Sasemi Omampini Ekaye, Eya Sendia, mibisa me ho say again no man peni be kwakọ kasa asem. Now my question to the president ever since Metis asem and this story no is the president telling us that he has failed and that he, President Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, personified, had failed the Ghanaian people, and what could be more to this assertion of the president? Because Mentia says into President Bekasa. Now, I mean, reading a bit of what the president said. Now, Yenshe said, making news portals, Bisokrano, EPK, president in a statement. Now, Oba, or say, President Adodankwa Akufo-Addo has openly acknowledged the undeniable reality of the economic crisis in the country. Also, according to him, he has listened to the grievances of the citizens about the difficulties they are facing. Speaking to the media during the New Patriotic Party Superdelegates Congress on Saturday, August 26, President Akufo-Addo expressed confidence in the party, confidence that the party would select a new leader capable of guiding the country out of these challenges. Quote, "It's difficult. I am the first to admit it. I have said it several times, but at the end of the day, I believe when the moment comes, the light would reflect on a new person to get us out of this difficulty," unquote, he said. Folks, Mr. G, what do you make of the president's comment? Quick one.
Mama candidate, I know what you do. More to it, no, if we are not to do no.
Yeah.
You may be man who can't say my account. I'll go to my account. Now, that's what I got to.
Yeah.
It's no damage. Nalaka, and you'll be no community.
Yeah.
Okay. The challenge is full of car. No, I didn't know I got to know it.
Great. Now, let's take a listen to what the president said at the party headquarters. When he said, "Sasam no can Ojin saying, what to this difficult way, a difficulty, it is going to disturb or is going to do what I don't know how." Folks, take a listen to the president.
I'm the first to admit it. I've said it several times. I'm the first to admit it. But at the end of the day, I believe that when the moment comes, the laws will reflect on who best can get us out of these difficulties and take us to the next thing. That is the New Patriotic Party.
Thank you so much.
I'm the first to admit it. I've said it several times. I'm the first to admit it. But at the end of the day, I believe that when the moment comes, the laws will reflect on who best can get us out of these difficulties and take us to the next thing. That is the New Patriotic Party.
Thank you so much.
Great. Now, you call short break. Then we'll give you a final goodbye of post-election analysis of the New Patriotic Party and how 26 August the 6 people, and now it has to be reduced to 5 people. Stick and stay. We'll be right back. Great, folks. All too soon, we've come to an end of yet another edition of Ghana Speaks Again, all under NPP elections. But this one we call it the post-election analysis. Yes, 10 no. Ya treme enya Ezianos yeyi bakwe so now 5, and then the 5 will make a sense of November as to how many no. 5 no. You'll be PM November 4th, and we need other issues with honum. This are sharp analysis and get it abroad. But channels to say of course the Hawk investigations for ever from Kra Ama say but Modiana Bra no munti more investigations be able to say their woman or product or more a fake one in the market and they say Ghana. And now the woman home formation they be the number of credit at the Howard was me back on my blackmailers and now police open say rural family the Ekobo Ebusia, but you need to know the family and know them well. We need to do what we call profiling, of course it will be done Hawk investigations between our documentaries so a lot is happening if you have to. The Srawun ready. So men freight telephone number and disturb it, and we are getting these calls and these disturbances. Hawk number investigations our number is 020-784-1980. No mass so channel say Beta Corporation wants to be to me assist to work with me. I said yeah so say they are open laptop papa biato. They are open see about na yebeye IT consultancy or bank or office and now fee and now put installations beer and who be here IT installations being for a mouth or bank or one na open laptop papa be pass and so what Nina and a Beta Corporation forward assist to they are into hard kind of a hardcore installation and IT information technology services. Nina no be deliver at the amount. BTech for no super respond the amount 054-297-8514 and that's 050-571-4871. This is 054-297-8514 and that's 050-571-4871. BTech Corporation for Ebe Assist. Before we give you the final wrap of course in our midst, you can see this my beautiful lady here, of course, Albebo Nidini, but friends, a student of Ghana Institute of Journalism. I was joining almost say Nipa ever on board to have cancer trade and now to even understand broadcasting and journalism unprecedented. Of course, Obebo Nidini no watch Iduma Oye Ewa say yes, Mami
Irama Ejapoma Makai.
Great. Irama, Eti, what do you make of production today?
It was a good production. Because looking at what went on during the elections, what we saw one of the candidates doing wasn't good. Because you shouldn't pick up a phone and just say anything you want in front of the public, because doing that you are also setting an example for others, and it's something that is really bad. You shouldn't do that.
Great. So GIJ stage banner withdrew.
I'm all level 200. Next year we call level 300.
Okay. So you're learning broadcasting, journalism, all of that.
Yes, and I'm learning how to control the camera and editing, doing of
production. Good one, folks. Mo Obina or apprentice who ye do but as I say, that's how the job all requires. Now she's a young lady, upcoming journalist, pretty soon. Well, could even grow up to become a global journalist. God knows how. And we are and none here can ora candidate Japan, you know. So Nimze and na obe contested for this higher officer. Maybe it would have been that of the obe tremendous who ever name be more was as Sibiano. Say look further to the future and all of that. Let me give a last bite to director of the political desk in Kofi Ejiri to also give a bite to folks. Kofi.
I'm not saying
yes.
Now, I got my smart candidate. Yeah, Ghana for now.
Yeah.
You there, National Yankee say you think this also intense. I was start for the day. Over Hawk, you know, we are a welcome. It's a can you put my young queen? I call it, I'll be said home.
Anyhow, folks, all too soon, Ghana Speaks Election Network. Yes, of course, came to you from this very outside location, giving you all sight and sound about what is going on. You say NPP for no, one number share IABBA kama 4th November no Omar Kwaku the obedi womenim and sana afie ne mo be general eye analysis say NPP versus NDC, who would rule the Republic of Ghana. So folks, all too soon we come to an end of this very edition, and so we'll say Nyame Adma, hopefully next week we'll bring you yet another interesting edition. I am Kwaku Annan.
I'm Irama Ejapoma Makai.
Eju.
Bye.
Kiramana tichen. Hina kwacheno. Kwe, utuntutu. Awe!